I'm a big fan of the 4-season garden. And one season that people start to struggle with on having things bloom is the fall. But I will tell you, it can be the most beautiful time of the year. We're past the echinacea blooming. We're past the black-eyed Susan, things that we commonly see. But, I get this question quite frequently. What can I plant in the fall? So I just thought maybe I'd put together some slides of some things that are blooming right now or have been blooming in the last couple of weeks. Typically, these have about an 8-week bloom period, August into September and into October on some of these. So first one that I really enjoy is pink turtlehead, or some versions are white turtlehead. Other people call it Cleone. And there is native varieties of this, and then there's also cultivated varieties of this. But I have always loved this plant because it looks like little purple or pink turtle heads blooming. And the bees absolutely love them. They'll climb into those little openings on the flowers. It is a perennial, and it will come back faithfully year after year. There are some varieties that will actually handle wet feet. And so this is just a very versatile plant. I've had the one growing in my yard for now over 20 years, and it just keeps coming back faithfully. And it's easy to divide and give away to friends and spread around the yard. So definitely a winner in my book. Another one that I thoroughly enjoy are the asters. Fall is about asters and chrysanthemums. So we do have some hybridized varieties of asters that you can find in a lot of the garden centers or nurseries, but I love the natives the most. And so I think my favorite is the aromatic aster. This is the one that gets about 3 foot tall. You can choose to prune it back halfway in the season to get a bushier, fuller mound, or you can choose to let it go so it'll get a little taller and you can have it blooming a little sooner. Another one that tends to be a little bit taller than the aromatic and a little more floppier, that's the New England aster. This is encompassing all the varieties. All asters typically come in white, pink, purple, and even a bluish purple. And so I just absolutely love asters. They really add a lot of oomph to the garden. And the one thing I really like about our native asters is they are so full of pollinators. And so these can even be found blooming until the frost and past frost, which will allow some late season feeding for some of the pollinators, which is a winner in my book. Then we have Azure Salvia. Now, this is a salvia that is sure tall and floppy. So it's one of those, it's electric blue blooms, but if you're going to plant Azure Salvia and it's a native, make sure that you plant it among other things that hold it up. And so, like I said, I just absolutely adore the electric blue blooms, but that downfall is it's tall and floppy. So you have to provide those supports for it. Another one that everybody's familiar with, of course, is chrysanthemums. I miss the old-fashioned chrysanthemums that were perennial and they came back faithfully year after year. I love the new ones in the fact that there's so many different types of colors and formations on the blooms. You have the daisies, you have the palms, you have the doubles, and all sorts of different vibrant colors. So we've traded the really beautiful, vibrant colors and different patterns for the longevity and being hardy. And so just realize that when you're buying mums in today's market, odds are it's going to be more of an annual. And if it does come back, you're lucky, because a lot of times they don't, or you may only have 50% come back. And just remember that. And always remember that this is one flower you can get in early, mid, or late season blooms. So you can expand your mum season for many weeks if you choose early, mid, and late blooms. But it is definitely a winner to put in your yard, that vibrant color. Just don't always count on it being 100% coming back. Caryopteris is another one of my favorites. This is also called Bluebeard. And Bluebeard comes as a perennial, and it also comes more in a shrubby perennial. So when you go pick out a Caryopteris, make sure to do your research, because there's lots of cultivars out there, and find out how big it gets. So if you want something that's going to be 18 inches, make sure to get that variety that only gets 18 inches. If you want something that's going to be 36 inches, there's that size for that. These range in white to pink to light purple to dark purple. They're amazing because they bloom at every joint. So there's blooms at every joint, and they're just gorgeous. And you can even get some with lighter foliage and darker foliage, which can really contrast with that bloom. Like I said, this is one of my favorites, definitely a winner in my landscape. Another one that's not the bloom that's attractive, it's the berry, and that's beautyberry. And I really thoroughly enjoy the native beautyberry. I think it's more attractive. And so it does bloom in the spring. It's fairly insignificant when it blooms. But like I said, the pow comes whenever you see those purple berries. And it's just a sight to be seen, especially when you have those bright purple berries at every joint along those stems. And just definitely another winner for fall. And then, of course, then we have the fall anemone. Now, this is not a native, but it is one that is definitely a great addition to any garden. It comes in whites and light pinks and dark pinks. And Missouri Botanical Garden had this one where it's a darker pink in the petal, and then the edge is white. And I think it's just absolutely stunning. This is one that you can count on blooming from August into September. And if the weather does well, then you might even have it into October. It's a nice green foliage for most of the year until it blooms, and then it's very attractive. But with these, I've just presented several options, and I hope that all of you go out and seek out some of these beautiful additions that you can make to your yard for fall blooming.